G'day guys, Shaun McManus here. Well, it's been a pretty up and down season for our Dockers, as we know in 2019. We were 7-5 following the win after the bye, but a run of horror injuries. We know that to our key big man. We only managed just the 2 wins from that point on for the remainder of the season. Then with only 1 game to go in 2019, the club made the bold and pragmatic decision to search for a new senior coach and CEO. And that's to set us up for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, a man who has been in the thick of it is GM of football, my good friend Peter Bell. Belly, it's been a busy time for you, mate.
It has been. I should use this moment to say hello to my family and friends who I haven't seen for a while, and I'll see you in December. There's a lot on at the moment. It was a disappointing second half to the season. You touched on the injuries there, Shaun, and certainly they played their role, but also we didn't perform with the same consistency as we did in the first half of the year. 7-5, and we had a number of those losses. I think we had our chances in those games as well, but it did drop away and we lost some of our key personnel, so that was disappointing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Before we move forward to different things, I just want to say, obviously Ross Lyon and Steve Rossage has had a really big impact in their time here at the football club. Yeah,
absolutely. On field, they led us through our most successful period, particularly through 12 to 15. Played in the grand final in 2013, obviously minor premiers in 2015. And Steve Rossage led in the development of this wonderful facility down at Coburn, state-of-the-art elite training facility, and generations, I suppose, of Fremantle players and staff will be thankful for the leading role that he had in that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So from here on in, we're starting a new chapter. So I know you just said hello to your family. You've been as busy as anyone in Australia. So now we're looking for a senior coach. Is that an exciting time for us looking forward?
Yeah, with change comes great excitement.
Yep.
And of course there's uncertainty as well. And the coach selection panel will cast a very wide net and speak to a number of people. Some of those will be the people that are widely publicised, but others more left field perhaps. We haven't gone in with any preconceptions at all. It'll be a really thorough search, and hopefully we'll make the right decision for the footy club.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, and when you follow the media, and I'm a part of it, is when people just start pigeonholing individuals or they highlight others. But it's good to hear that the club is not narrow-minded and has the experience and has people like you on board who let's see who the best candidate is. And is it going to take, what's the process like?
The process will be really thorough,
yeah.
And we're setting out the parameters of that, and we're almost finalised with that, and preliminary discussions have already been had with a few candidates, and many more will be canvassed over the next 7 to 10 days probably, and then we'll begin that process of refinement, which will take a lot of time. There'll be a lot of interviews, a lot of presentations, so it's a pretty big task.
Yeah, you're going to be super busy, mate. Luke McFarlane has joined the group who's going to choose our coach. That's great to see someone like Luke involved.
Yeah, Luke, as you would know, Shaun, highly respected, really intelligent guy, deep thinker about the game as well. His playing record speaks for itself. He's been also at the Hawthorn Footy Club at the start of his career, which was a fantastic organisation. He was a real leader here, and he will be the sort of independent person on the coach selection panel, and we think he'll be an ideal candidate to help us work through all the prospective coaches.
Yeah, no doubt he will. Looking Mac, great to see him back at the club. The trade period begins shortly, and that's going to be a busy time. Obviously, I've never been a part of it, but I do know that there's going to be a lot of phone calls made to you over the next couple of days. A couple of guys, though, that have been thrown up in the media and we've read about in recent times. The club has acknowledged Brad Hill and Ed Langdon. I'll start with Brad. He's still got a couple of years to go. So from a supporter's point of view, you think, well, does he have to move on if that's the case? Yeah,
we've certainly had some conversations with Brad and his management, and they've indicated that for family reasons, in particular Brad's girlfriend, very keen to get back to friends and family in Melbourne, and so that has occurred. But also, as you would expect, Shaun, he is a contracted player and he's got a couple of years left on his contract. So we very much have to do what is the best for the Fremantle Football Club. There's empathy for Brad's situation, absolutely. He's a Fremantle player and he's been a great servant for Fremantle. He's a Doig medalist.
Yeah, of course.
His form this year was outstanding. One of the elite wingmen of the competition, and athletically as gifted as you'll find in AFL football.
Very similar to yourself back in the day. When
He's got that rare mix of speed and endurance that is really hard to find. So that's going to be something we'll work through with Brad. But he's an exceptional player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ed Langdon is another one that's been fantastic this year. I think we all agree that Ed's development's been great, and he looks like that he wants to go back to his family and friends.
There are those indications at the moment. He is out of contract, Ed, and he's another he's been a great servant for Fremantle, and they were formidable wingmen, the pair of them. So we'll work through with the management. The actual trade period doesn't start till early October, so Ed's enjoying a bit of family time back in Melbourne at the moment, and we'll just follow that through if and when it eventuates. But the trading and the movement of players, I guess it's beginning to become more and more prevalent, and I think football fans should gear themselves up for more and more of that to occur, whether you like it or whether you don't like it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us would like to see our best players staying around or being one club teams for the majority of it. So this period, which we went through last year, for us to get an understanding, you have a lot of conversations. When does it really get serious? Because I'd imagine you can't. Everyone's playing ducks and drakes. Is that how it works?
Yeah, you have a lot of meetings, and then you sort of make small gains or progressions in discussions incrementally across a long period of time. Generally, some deals potentially can happen a bit quicker, but the complicated ones, particularly when third and fourth clubs start to get involved, they can be quite complex, and you just work your way through it. But everyone's working in the best interests of their respective clubs, obviously.
Well, hopefully it all works out well for us. I'm sure it will. What types of players do you think going forward will we look at? Forgetting the guys that may or may not leave, but what we need to improve for next year.
Well, first of all, I'm really pleased with the squad that we do have at the moment.
Yep.
I think there's some exceptional players there. We need to all work as a club to get more availability, and we touched on the injuries earlier on. So if we can get them all out on the park, and we saw that in the first 12 rounds of the season, how competitive we were when we had close to a full range of selection available. But clearly, from a list management perspective, sort of we'd like to bring in some more help in the inside mid area to help Nat and Michael Walters and Dave Mundy out. We think Adam Cherrer and Andrew Brayshaw are really ready to progress their football to the next level. We'd like to get them some more inside mid minutes. Running halfbacks are always valuable as well, particularly if they can be about 190 centimetres tall and deliver the ball beautifully. But we missed Nathan Wilson's run and skill execution over the past the latter part of the season. That'd be the areas of priority, I think. Some either through the draft or if it's going to be the trade period, they're the areas we'll be looking at.
Well, it's getting exciting, that's for sure, for the future of our mighty club. Overnight, or last couple of days in particular, we've seen that Nat Fyfe and Michael Walters has made the All-Australian team. We'll start with Fyfey and named captain, which is just an amazing honour. Nat's
a great leader, and his leadership continues to really, really grow. So it's exciting that we've got such a strong leader at the football club, and All-Australian captain looks fantastic on the resume, and he's been a terrific leader for a long time. And Michael Walters, he's been, and it was interesting to hear some of the other players reflect on Michael during the night itself, that he's been at an All-Australian level, but maybe not with the consistency over the season.
Yeah.
And he was terrific this year, 40 goals as a small forward and in the midfield as well. We've used him, and he's a magnificent ball user. And so it's one of those cliches, isn't it? You like two of them, one in the forward line and one in the midfield, but he's Fremantle through and through, and we're really lucky to have him.
Nat Fyfe said one of the things he's really excited about is probably people underestimating us this year, but he thinks with, as you said before, with a full complement of players available, adding to the club, that we can be a scary prospect in 2020.
Yeah, I really believe that as well. We've got a lot of work to do. Availability will be very important, clearly, and whether there are changes through the trade period or the draft period as well. As it stands right now, we've got a pick 6 in the draft, and we have our second round selection as well. And there's lots of different things that could occur there with trading of future picks and whatever else. So we'll just aim to bring in as much quality as we possibly can, whether it's through the trade or the draft period, and we're very pleased with the nucleus of the squad that we've got right now.
It sounds like you're going to have a headache at some stage, mate, with all the machinations that could end up.
It's a great industry to be involved in. It is a tough industry, and there's long hours and everything else, but to work in football is a real honour.
So you've really been enjoying, I mean, because it's a 12-month period now for you, and we know you've got a contract extension, but how have you been going?
It's been 11 months, and I was talking to some industry figures last night in Melbourne, and they came up with the idea that every year that you work in football administration is actually 3 years. That's what it feels like, and I must say it's been a big year this year, but it's very important. It's a very important juncture for the club. So absolutely up for the hard work that's required.
Mate, really appreciate your time. You've been an absolute champion for our club. We know you're super busy at the time. Thanks for speaking to our supporters and fans, who I'm sure would appreciate the insight to how the footy club's going at the moment. For everyone else, make sure you keep checking back to the official club app and website for updates on our new senior coach, and more importantly, news about this upcoming trade period, which Belly said is going to be super busy. Get on board the Purple Army in 2020. Big things are going to be happening.